a lot of the things that some like character archetypes traditionally would like struggle with are kind of, I don't want to say solved at a system level, but potentially could be solved at a system level. A lot of the mechanics are really fun like that. My personal favorite, the parry system, is probably my favorite mechanic in this game. Which is kind of funny because originally I was kind of underwhelmed by it, or I guess just disappointed, because I really love the third strike parry. Like there's nothing more satisfying than just like calling someone's offense out and just holding forwards and getting rewarded for it. So in Street Fighter 6, it being just like you just hold two buttons and it just parries the entire time. It's like locked into an animation. Originally it was kind of underwhelming to me, but when you actually play the game, it's really interesting what it does to neutral in the Fireball game. The way the parry works is you're not intangible, but you're essentially invincible. You just kind of phase through all attacks, but you can get thrown. It does cost some of the meter at the top, the green bar, but if you ever come in contact with a move or a projectile, the bar starts to refill. So what happens a lot of times, like in neutral, if you're trying to play like this Fireball game, this projectile game, normally, spacing out your fireballs, this, that, and the other is already like pretty interesting, I think. But now with the added layer of just saying, okay, I'm gonna hang back and just parry all of your projectiles and gaining resource for that is really interesting, especially from the perspective of if you're a grappler player. Typically it's pretty hard for grapplers to get in on this sort of keep away fireball kind of gameplay. If you get a perfect parry also, it's a 2-frame window, I think, where you don't even lose any momentum from parrying. You just keep walking forward. So if, again, from the perspective of like, say, a grappler player or something, if you walk forward into a perfect parry and then like get your command grab, it's pretty terrifying. So that's like an issue that the system itself kind of like helps solve for some characters that traditionally kind of struggle with that kind of gameplay. What I think is also really interesting. So if you're just sitting there holding the parry button, essentially, there's a chance you could end up like this in Burnout, since it does cost meter. Parry does cost meter, and the longer you're holding the button down, the more meter you end up losing. You're sort of incentivized to time your parry on the fireball as close to it happening as possible. Whenever that starts happening, you can start engaging in like fireball feints, where you throw a shallow fireball. Like if someone is trying to parry all your projectiles, you start throwing in shallow fireballs, and then maybe they just waste meter because the fireball doesn't actually ever connect. And so now you're indirectly targeting one of their resources while also kind of controlling space. And that goes for not even just shallow fireballs, just changing the timing of the fireballs up, doing them fast, slow, etc., etc. It's so fun how it plays with like EX moves. Everything essentially is tied to the drive meter, the green meter up there. If someone's trying to parry your fireballs, to get the resources back, if you can get them to whiff their parry, especially if they're like low on drive meter, they get them just going into Burnout. The other thing too, I feel like that ends up happening when you start forcing your opponent to change up like their fireball timings. Now it's kind of a meme. But there's a lot of ways to deal with fireball. Obviously parry, but one of them is also drive impact. It is kind of a meme. But like if you space yourself in a way hard reading a fireball, like right here, if you just go for drive impact and Luke fireballs, Luke kind of gets smoked. I'm not saying it's a good thing to do, but you sneak it in every now and then. And again, from like certain like perspectives, like characters that just traditionally struggle with fireball game, just at least even having those options to present, I think is really good. I feel like having access to these things that are just fun to do pretty much at every point in time in the game is what's really, really, really good about this game. It's like, as long as you have meter and you start off with a lot of meter to do these things, as long as you have meter, you're chilling. There's like always something fun to do. Like you can parry, you can drive rush, you can drive impact, you have EX things. Like there's just always something fun to do. I think that's the biggest thing though for me, like in comparison to like a lot of fighting games that have been coming out recently, the access to fun is far more immediate, it feels like. Like I feel like the most snooze thing for most people in fighting games is that sort of keep away game, keep out thing. How do I get in? Offering something to directly combat that and reward you for playing patient and like parrying fireballs, I think it's really fun.